Hello everyone, and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the final race in our Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike National Championship Series. I'm your series announcer, Frank Wood. Today's race is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Honda, Magneti Marelli offered by Mopar, Drift, and Dunlop.
Here we are, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the old Motorsport, for the 7th and final round of the 2018 Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship Series for middleweight sport bikes. And I'd love to say this is the deciding round, but Thomas Kazaz hung on in a real nail-biter yesterday and got what turned out to be a convincing victory.
Boy, did he ever celebrate, too, on that cool-down lap. I don't think I've ever seen him so joyous after a race. And we didn't really expect him to win the race. I kind of thought he might go for a championship ride, you know, and run around in 4th or 5th position and just grab that championship on behalf of Parks Canada and Yamaha Canada.
Looking backwards there, we had a glimpse of some of the other front runners. One of them, Louis Rafa, who was second yesterday. And how did that happen? When he started the last lap in 5th position, because 3 of the top 4 crashed at Moss Corner on the last lap. Mitch Card trying to get by our leader. Tremblay unfortunately piled into Card, really couldn't do anything about it. And about 5 seconds before that, Shaw O'Leary had an amazing fall at the first apex of Moss Corner, right about where we're headed to now.
Well, I spoke to Jacob Shaw O'Leary this morning. He was a little bit shaken up and what have you, but good to go for today.
And it's good that everybody got their bikes fixed. It's always a lot of pressure late in the season, and those frantic repairs in the paddock are pretty stressful for everyone involved. Now we're looking backwards at McKay, and he made the podium. That was a well-deserved effort for a guy who's had an up-and-down season, but has certainly shown a lot of speed and probably could have won our race at Grand Bend. Yeah,
that was a heartbreak for McKay. That's his home track. Basically, he learned his licks on the Grand Bend track, racing in the SOAR series down there. So, very disappointing for him last year, but that podium yesterday was kind of redemption.
Strong entry here in this middleweight pro class. Very good entry, really, and a class that's really come back since Liqui Moly has joined up. And of course, the video coverage has allowed a lot of these guys to get some attention and move their career forward. A lot of good young riders in this class, and a lot of riders who are thinking about trying to get to Superbike in the near future.
We've talked before about the first rider out on the track is the first one on the grid, and therefore the one with the coolest tires when the lights go off. And in this case, it was Jacob Shaw O'Leary who went out first, and although everybody caught up to him there, and then we have Mitch Card and Tommy Casas enjoying pleasantries on the starting line. Tommy Casas closest to us. The rider's being held now on that starting line, and we will go to the Pro 6 cycle starting lights in short order here. CSBK officials now taking their positions at trackside to watch for a possible false start or a jump start, if you will. Fred Benjamin from CSBK up and over the wall he goes, and now we will concentrate on the Pro 6 cycle starting lights, and this is the last time we'll see them here in the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike race. The lights are all on right now. The lights are off and the field is off and running, and Tommy Casas gets a very good launch from the outside there, and indeed he has snatched up the lead, and Mitch Card tucking in behind him there, and Shaw O'Leary, another one of his wide lines going into turn 1, and that is the shaker Sebastian Tremblay sitting back there in the 24 bike holding on to 3rd spot as they make their way down through turn 2.
So you'd have to say normal service has resumed. These are the same 4 people at the front. Rafa in 5th would be the next guy, who were just going at each other last time, and that did not go well.
Not at all. Here we are now working through Quebec corner, turn number 3, and we're looking at Louis Rafa from the back of, I believe that was Tremblay's bike we were on board at that point in time. Here we are from Tommy Casas' Yamaha, looking back at the Fast Company Yamaha that Mitch Card rides, and looks like our top 3 riders are getting a little bit of distance as we head out onto the Mario Andretti back straightaway here. And here we get some horsepower, and we'll just see how fast Mitch Card's Fast Company Yamaha is.
Looking back, we can see that Rafa on his CBR 600 RR Honda is now in front of Shaw O'Leary on a similar Honda machine, and I think maybe Shaw O'Leary, a bit of a frantic rebuild on that motorcycle, severely damaged. Maybe the bike isn't working quite as well as it was yesterday.
Another one of those cases of burning the midnight oil, and we've heard that story on a number of times, not particularly from the O'Leary brothers racing, but it happens to a lot of racers who have had problems on one particular day and have to get ready for the next day.
1 lap in the book, and Casas looking really, really strong, and if anything, I think that behind Shaw O'Leary has been passed by a couple of more, so things not going well for the Honda rider, the pro cycle back racer from the East Coast, who the last few weeks in the series has been a real focal point, mostly in a good way.
Yeah. it's been a tough year for Shaw O'Leary. You know, his father shared. Oh, look at this now as Tremblay takes the inside line on Mitch Card, and he has snatched up second spot.
We've seen a lot of people taking some unusually wide lines this year. Normally it hasn't been a problem, but that time I think Card was just a little careful when he was on the dustier part of the track, and good for Tremblay. He swooped right down, and look at Tremblay picking up some serious speed in this part of the track. The chute, really challenging part of the track. You jam on the brakes through 5A and B, and right here is the key part where you drive up the straight, and that's where things went really badly for Card and Tremblay yesterday.
Quite so. We're on board with Card right now. Things going a little better, at least on this lap. Anyways, oh my goodness, Tommy Casas has got some serious distance here, and now Mitch Card picking up the draft off the back end of the Kawasaki of Sebastian Tremblay has slingshotted himself into second spot once more, and here comes Tremblay back again in turn number 8 now. Tremblay has gathered up second spot once more, and Mitch Card doesn't like that. You can watch for a return favor from Card any moment now, I'm sure.
No rear view mirrors on motorcycles that race, and if there were, Kazaz would be thrilled that Card and Tremblay are going side by side up the back straightaway. That is not the way to make time. That is not the way to slipstream, and obviously they're racing for position, and of course these guys tumbled together on the last lap yesterday, but they're going to be scrubbed off at Casas if they keep racing that way.
Well, thus far, Louis Rafa's having a very strong race here. I think he's starting to enjoy that inner fire that we talk about so often that gives you that extra confidence going into your next contest, and Louis Rafa is enjoying that type of feeling right now.
Second, third, and fourth definitely clear of the rest of them, but honestly, if these guys are side by side, one more trip up the back straight, Casas will have broken the draft. Almost impossible in this class at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and that's the kind of thing people really remember. And honestly, yeah, look at that. Casas is looking to put the cherry on the cake on a wonderful championship season. No pressure. He's won the title, and now it's hammer down.
And Rafa having a look to the inside of 5 there as he had a peek on the inside of the 24 bike of Sebastian Tremblay. Now Rafa is all over Tremblay right now. We're with Tremblay looking at Mitch Card as we head into turn number 8. But again, Louis Rafa is right in behind him. And I thought he might have benefited from the draft on the back straightaway, but that was not the case. Not on this lap as Rafa looks to the inside of turn number 9.
And here goes Tremblay on the brakes inside 10. Oh, what a great
beautiful move.
And I was happy that they didn't tussle too much on the back straight, but now they're back and forth in 9 and 10, and this is backing them up. And I think if you look further back, 5th place is a pretty good battle, and I think McKay is at the front of that.
The Yamaha leading this one. Kawasaki running in second spot just now. Yamaha in third, and Louis Rafa on the Honda in 4th spot.
Rafa looking good here. We know that bike of his is very fast. Historically has been one of the stronger sport bikes, so good that he's joined the party here. Unfortunately that Shaw O'Leary doesn't quite have the pace he had yesterday or last year.
Well, we talk about the Midnight Oil. Oh, here we go on board with Mitch Card, and he has gathered up second spot once more. Down through the chute they go, that intimidating. Oh, look at Tremblay around the outside. I was going to say that's an intimidating corner at the best of times, and when you take the outside line on the rider in front of you, man, you are teasing.
That was really exciting. It's thrilling. Big commitment, good riders trusting each other, but again, not gaining any time as Kazaz continues to pull ahead, and he's just about out of sight as that Fast Company Yamaha shows its legs.
Wow, has that ever got the fast pony under him this time around, Mitch Card? Now, we were talking about burning the midnight oil. That was true of Louis Rafa team as well. He has mounted a Fast Company Honda in that motorcycle that he's riding right now, and they did it just last night.
So an engine switch for Rafa, that's an interesting choice. You usually don't do that unless you need to. And this particular weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, we've seen a number of people who are struggling with issues. Of course, it's late in the season. A lot of people go to a fresh engine for this track, the track that puts the biggest premium on performance. But sometimes the new mill just isn't what you need.
Tommy Casas has become a mere speck in the up ahead there. We've almost lost. There he is just now heading up into Quebec corner, but the race within this race is right now going on for the final 2 podium spots between Mitch Card, Sebastian Tremblay, and Louis Rafa. There they are right there, the 3 of them, but there's only 2 spots left, assuming Tommy can hold this lead.
Looks like Kazaz is well over 2 seconds clear, and that's a lot in this class, and that's meaningful here because you've broken the draft. And again, if these 3 work together, it's possible they could get back up there. That has happened too. But if you ride side by side, if you start dicing, if you don't slipstream thoughtfully, you're just going to end up holding each other up.
on board with Sebastian Tremblay on the Kawasaki. We're chasing Mitch Card up the Mario Andretti straightaway. There's a great shot from trackside now, and Louis Rafa again on top of Tremblay as they come up towards the Canadian Tire Bridge, and they'll bank over to the right now in through turn number 8. Rafa sitting back there. He looks like he's got a strong pony, and he has had a look a couple of times, Colin, but he has yet to show anybody a wheel.
Still fairly early. We haven't got to halfway as we see the leader blast through the frame, and look at
Tremblay
Tremblay
again. Nice move by Tremblay, but didn't get it done, and Rafa just about gathers him up from the outside on the exit of turn number 10. There's Rafa having a look now going into turn number 1. Again, not close enough to put a wheel in.
If anything, I think that that Tremblay pass was kind of a mess, and in the end it was Rafa who got punished for that, not because he did anything wrong, just wrong place, wrong time. But again, they're losing time here. This great backward shot from the drift cameras. We see 4th place Rafa, who's definitely shopping in Tremblay.
Well, he had the podium yesterday, and as I said, I'm sure he would love to stand on that podium again today, and he's working towards that goal right now, man. He's moving right in on Tremblay, and he is alongside him when last seen. Here we come. Louis Rafa has got 3rd spot. He moves in behind Mitch Card as they make their way down into Moss's carousel.
Bit of an unusual spot to make that pass. It was a solid pass. Took a little bit of a ballsy approach to make that one work, so good for Rafa, and I'm sure he's concerned that Card is going to break clear the way that Kazaz does if these guys aren't smart.
This is a great battle now between 2 Fast Company motorcycles. One of them the Yamaha R6 of Mitch Card, and the other one, of course, the Honda CBR 600RR of Louis Rafa.
And yesterday, Card had a shot at winning the championship, and that desperation drive up the back straight was partly because he needed to stick with Kazas and push the points battle into today's race, and of course that didn't work out, so you got to feel bad for Card, who lately has been the king of Motorsport in this class.
Essentially, he did the right thing, Colin, as I recall, but he just did it a little bit too early.
Well, yeah, maybe just a tad too aggressively, and it's so easy to judge these things, and hard luck for Card, who's had a tough season in both Superbike and Pro Sport Bike.
I think Rafa's got designs on 2nd spot. He is definitely on the move once more and moving right in on Mitch Card. Look at that, just about touching wheels with a nose to tail, and he moves to the inside of Quebec corner. Has he got something for Card? Not quite.
Card swooping back, picking up the line. Rafa generally running a little bit tighter, but seems to be able to square it up and get on the fat part of the tire a little bit quicker. More of a tighter track approach, but it seems to be working fine for Rafa with that Honda.
Several times he's looked to the inside of 5. He does it again, but obviously not close enough again to get inside of Mitch Card, but maintaining this torrid pace and definitely staying with Card on a very fast Yamaha. He's proven that time and again, so Louis Rafa definitely has a good horse under him.
Here we are on the big dyno of the Canadian Series where we're demonstrating the power.
See that?
Oh yeah, that Card Yamaha is a missile, no question about it. We've seen it over and over again. The telecasts throughout this season have demonstrated that R6 is either the fastest bike in this class or amongst the fastest bikes, and it's good to see Rafa putting the pressure on.
Yeah.
He's looking up the inside.
Now he looks to the inside of 10. Not quite enough room there as Mitch Card closes the door on him.
Weird piece of debris on the track there. I hope that was nothing heavy.
Perhaps another one of our drift cameras. We lost one up in Quebec corner yesterday, as you'll remember. And now Louis Rafa, we're looking at him as he continues to hunt Card. We keep waiting for him to uncork when he did a beautiful job in gathering up Sebastian Tremblay, and now he has his sights firmly set. Oh, I thought he was going to take a dive to the inside of turn number 3, and he did do that, but it certainly did not benefit him in his chase after Card.
And you look at Tremblay and you think, oh, he's got a good line, he can get the drive, but it's impressive that Rafa just gets it onto that fat part of the tire and pulls the trigger, and it's a different kind of riding style for this track. You know, we've been seeing more of these big swoopy lines since Claudio Corti was here on the Aprilia coming up from the American Series, but Rafa's gone the other way.
When they come down through that chute in through number 4 there, that is a very daunting camber, I should say, a little bit of an off camber coming down 4. And Colin, when you reach the bottom of that hill, everything bottoms out.
Oh yeah, the compression, the G out at the bottom is part of the fun at Motorsport. And when you first learn to ride here, it's a scary spot. And when you're busy in traffic with other guys going fast, these are memorable moments on bikes like these.
Well, I can't say is Rafa or Tremblay are doing anything wrong in their riding, but it is obvious that Card has got a handle on these guys now. I'm going to give him about a 10 or 12 bike length lead on the front straightaway. That shrunk a bit now coming into turn number 1 as we are approaching the halfway of this contest.
And of course, really, it's a lot about the back straight and how they slow strain. 8 or 10 bike lengths is meaningless if you get a good drive and you play your cards right on the back stretch. We've seen some flat trackers who have a lot of experience with slipstreaming do very, very well here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's a natural place for that riding style, but of course you have to take some chances and have a lot of faith in the guy in front of you, and you need to be jammed right up into the tail section of the bike in front. And everybody has their own method and their own approach and levels of confidence and levels of trust.
When you talk about flat trackers doing well here at Motorsport, of course, we can't help but think about Dougie Lawrence and how well he did in his brief foray into road racing. And he is here this weekend. He was supposed to have had a ride put together, but it didn't happen. I'm sure you know a little bit more about that, Colin.
Well, and it was supposed to be in this class. For all we know, he might have been part of this discussion or maybe back in that battle that McKay's leading just slightly behind these guys. And that was supposed to be on a GSXR 600. He rode for Suzuki in the Superbike class last year, his rookie pro season, when he almost took the rookie pro title. But no Doug Lawrence, so people are missing fresh here. But we have a pretty entertaining race to
that's
cover.
A certainty. That is a certainty as these three continue to go at it. Now Tommy Kazas finds himself in a similar role to what we've seen our Superbike champion Jordan Zoke in, where they get so far ahead they don't get on TV.
Well, unfortunately, you need to be part of a dispute. We tend to go towards a battle. It's more fun, more entertaining. It's always good to look at a few different bikes and have a lot of different things to talk about. And no offense to TV Tommy, who has been very, very impressive this season and has been in the middle of all kinds of action. But right now, he has split. And other than a clinic in very precise riding and dominating a race on a Yamaha R6, Kazas is the most interesting thing going on right now.
Absolutely. And Card, where I thought he had a little bit of a cushion over the battle between Rafa and Tremblay, now finds himself with company as Tremblay has gathered him up a bit, and it looks like Rafa has fallen off the pace just slightly.
Well, Tremblay is probably the smoothest of these three. There. And, he doesn't overwork the tire. He's a patient guy. He's been fast in this class. He's been fast on Superbikes. He got his first win 3 weeks ago at Atlantic Motorsport Park in this class. So there's no question Tremblay and that Kawasaki have been a great addition and are very, very competitive. And at this season, when he jumped into Sport Bike, he crashed at the first Shannonville out of second place, so that basically ruined his season. He was behind the 8 ball in terms of points. But next year, Tremblay will for sure be one of the favorites. Yeah, and he's got some strong backing as well. They actually gave him a Superbike for this weekend as well, and we'll have a chance to see him in the Mopar Superbike race a little later on. Right, and he got into Super Pole and had a good run in the Superbike race yesterday. So yeah, Tremblay has always been good at Motorsport. The track suits his style and has a number of good efforts so far. And he's in the Superbike race later on today, which you'll be able to see on TSN. And we're losing Rafa. These guys have gotten away from Rafa cleanly now. We got a great dice going on between this Kawasaki rider Sebastian Tremblay as he tries the inside line, and again a beautiful pass by Tremblay, and he did it in Quebec corner. Now we take the run down the hill, under the bridge and down through the chute, as they call it, Colin, through turn 4, and that daunting dive down into the lower section of this race course. And here's the G-out section, and you pop over the hill where you're coming off the brakes, where Shaw O'Leary had that horrific crash yesterday because it turns out he just got mixed up in his shifting and had one too many downshifts and basically flicked himself off the bike when he let the clutch out. Now Tremblay is in a similar position to what Card was just a lap and a half ago, but watch Card gather him up now as he has the throttle wide open now under the bridge, and look at this, he takes the inside line going into 8, but Tremblay says no way and closes the door on him. And you're not allowed to weave, but Tremblay changed his line a little bit as he set up for 8, and I think Card might have been able to get by. We're not in the last lap or anything, but it's interesting to see. Tremblay is pretty cagey, and he has a pretty good idea of what Card would like to do, but it sure looked like Card could have made a move in that particular effort up the back straight. I wouldn't feel comfortable calling Sebastian a veteran rider, but he is just that. He's got a pretty thick file to draw from. He's been at this game for quite some time, not his first rodeo, as they say. No, and he teaches with Moto Nation, does a lot of track days. He's an active guy. He helps a lot of the up-and-coming racers. So he's a character in a good way in the series, and certainly a stalwart and a guy been on the podium in both classes. So definitely a good working pro.
And here we have a good look at the back end of that Kawasaki of Sebastian Tremblay. We were on board with Mitch Card just for a moment there, and here we go down into turn number 5 again. And I think Rafa's starting to come up a little bit. It looks like he's gathered up a bit. Oh yeah, definitely gathered up a bit of distance on these guys.
Yeah, I think Rafa might have a chance to get back. We'll have to see. And of course, so much of it depends on this trip up the back straight and how these guys draft and if they waste each other's time. But this time, Card's gone early. He's not being careful, not being cagey. Just said, last time didn't work. I don't need to waste as much time making the move or plotting a strategy for a repass.
So he realizes full well, of course, that Tommy's gone and he has a battle on his hands. He wants to get second spot, obviously, and equally as obvious is that Tremblay wants second spot, and there he goes and takes it back again, this time in turn 10.
I believe I just heard the trackside announcer take 2 laps to go, and Tremblay gave us a terrific look at that rear Dunlop slick on the Card Yamaha. Those tires are working hard. They're hanging in there. At our last race at Shubenacadie, there were actually a wide variety of tire choices that all worked because the conditions were so warm, and kind of different from how people think that race tires will go. All of the Dunlops were switching on well. I'm not so sure what happened here. Of course, a little bit of a harder tire at a faster track is required, but definitely the tires are hanging in really well.
I think it was wishful thinking when I passed a comment on Rafa closing in on these guys, because they have definitely put a large piece of asphalt between themselves and Rafa. And while there is 2 laps to go, I bet next week's pay that this one's going to go down to the final lap.
Well, what we hope doesn't happen is, I mean, as much as the last lap yesterday was truly entertaining, you want to see people finish, you want to see people be rewarded for their efforts and make a little prize money, get some points and all that kind of stuff. And don't forget, these two we're watching were battling for the lead.
Here goes Card again. He's pulled up right alongside. Look at this, up over the hill. They are mirroring one another as they peel off. And I thought Mitch Card had that position. It is obvious that Sebastian Tremblay, the shaker, had other ideas himself.
Well, Card has a problem, and that is Tremblay is willing to push it hard on the brakes coming off the back straight on either side of the track. And not many people have confidence on both sides. They tend to like to brake deep on one or the other.
Here we go.
And Tremblay is really showing a lot of brass when he comes off that back straight, and that's going to be crucial because Card's bike is faster.
Tremblay knows, yeah, I was just going to say, and Tremblay knows it full well, so it'll be very interesting to see how he plays this game.
But right now, Mitch Card likes this, right? He'd prefer to be second, and it suddenly dawned on me that I said this exactly a day ago, and the whole thing just blew up. They never got to play out the drafting scenario I had imagined and was gleefully explaining when they were in a pile on the side of the road.
Here we go on Card again as we head down under the bridge once more, down the chute through turn number 4. This is a really steep downhill. We lose the effect of that, really. Then now they bottomed right out there. A climb back up. There goes Sebastian Tremblay again. He has moved into second spot, and Card now has got his work cut out for him, and perhaps this is where he wants to be. Perhaps he wants to pick up the draft, but I think they have some company coming up as they head up the Mario Andretti straightaway and chart this. There goes Card again, back into second spot, and there's a shot of Tommy Casas as he comes through turn 8, completely in control of this and really putting salt on the wound in this championship chase.
And Card has managed to make it work, and he managed to get around that lapped rider. That was crazy.
That's Chris Fair on the number 270 bike. They caught up to the Kingston Speedster. They caught him very late in this race. So now here we go. Card comes out of turn number 10, and he's got it. And Tremblay's not happy about it. Did you see that hand signal?
Yeah, and I think, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised Sebastian was upset about the lapped rider. And we didn't see all of that because, of course, Kazaz was taking the checkered flag at that moment. But, you know, it's easy to get frustrated, and sometimes things don't go your way. But I like that finish better than yesterday's.
Well, Card looks back at him and looks to Tremblay to give him the thumbs up and say, I guess he's saying sorry about that. But now what the riders are doing down on the exit of, looks like maybe they're going in for a burnout show or something here. Is that what they have in plan?
Yeah, we're way off on the runoff at the bottom of turn 2, so our top 3 apparently have some kind of strategy for entertainment.
Oh my goodness.
Two Yamahas and a Kawasaki lighten up those Dunlop slicks, and that's about the end of the road for those tires. And they've had a good run in 2018 in our national championship.
You should mention to those guys that smoking is not good for your health, and they just left a big pile of acrid tire smoke there. Look at the fans leaning over the fence there and waving to the riders. Excellent turnout in fans this weekend. I honestly don't think I've seen so many people around this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as this weekend. And there's Tommy Kazas, obviously a very happy man as he comes up to grab that checkered flag, and he's going to take that thing for a one-lap ride.
And this is a mark of a top pro. This is a guy who won the championship, has been under a lot of pressure throughout the season. Now he's got it clinched, and what does he do? He takes off and dominates, demonstrates how much performance he has available if he can be untethered. And of course, normally it's Jordan Zoke we see taking advantage of these opportunities.
Yeah, quite so. Well, I think we talked about it in yesterday's broadcast, the fact that Tommy Kazas does now have a Superbike, but that bike will not be ready for competition until 2019. But obviously, Yamaha sees the promise in this boy to put a big pony under him.
No, he's been loaded into the Yamaha system. He went to the Valentino Rossi school last year. Everything pretty much going according to plan. Of course, he'd like to do more, like to be up to more, race more in the States, and be on that Superbike. But, the plan is going fairly well, and he's certainly one of the top rising stars in the series and likely to be a factor in Superbike in the future.
The final results, of course, in this race, Tommy Kazas taking the win with a lap of 124.2, and you see the difference between his lap time and Mitch Card. Sebastian Tremblay brings it home in third, Louis Rafa fourth, and Samuel Demeray in fifth spot, and he has definitely gathered up the Brooklyn Cycle Racing Pro Rookie of the Year award with that performance, Colin.
And Demeray ahead of McKay, that is impressive. Also, unfortunately, worth mentioning, that Shaw O'Leary wound up on the ground again, so that's unfortunate. Let's go to our podium.
Sebastian, this is make up for yesterday. It was tough yesterday finishing fourth. This time you're on the podium. Congratulations.
Yeah, yesterday was unfortunately unfortunate. We had some issue in corner 5 on the last lap, but today effectively we were battling, me and Mitch, so it gave Tommy a little bit of breathing space. But so it was a tough battle all race long. Unfortunately, on the last lap, I got a lapper that blocked my my attempt to pass for the second place.
Well said. Third place goes to the shaker, Sebastian Tremblay. Now over to talk to this fast boy, Mitch Card. Mitch, tell us about your race, son.
Well, I was behind Tommy there for about 2 laps, and then he, I don't know where that came from, but he hit the nitrous button and just boosted away from us. So me and Sebastian were battling it out and back and forth all the time. So it was a good race all over. I caught a lapper at the end that happened to work to my advantage, but I mean, it always doesn't happen that way, and Sebastian's real strong on the last 3 corners, so it's, it was a real tough one. But anyways, we had a great race, and it's awesome to be here after going over the bars yesterday. I mean, Sebastian didn't run me over, so we're all good.
Mitch Card finishing in second spot. Now, one would have thought winning the race yesterday and wrapping up the championship that perhaps Tommy Kazas might just cruise around mid-pack and give somebody else a chance to win the race. But oh no. Congratulations, Tommy.
Thanks a lot, Frank. It was nice to be able to get out in the lead, put some good pace down, and then just concentrate on my own thing. Having that pressure off from clinching the title yesterday was it released some pressure, and I could put my head down and concentrate on my thing. Unfortunately, these guys, like they said, they went down yesterday, and it would have been a nice battle to be up there with them again battling. But I just put my head down. I put consistent laps, and I was able to pull a gap, which was very good. And yeah, it's nice to finish the season with a win.
And Tommy, every lap you've led, the money's been adding up towards your charity, your choice of charities.
Yeah, I'm gonna be giving out a giveaway if someone can figure out which is the charity I donate for every lap I lead. So anyone got the answer for that one? Back coming for whoever answers the question. No? What's that? Yeah, that's correct. All right.
Great stuff. Okay, so we have a winner to that, and we have some parts kit from Parts Canada. For its Laps for MD is the charity that Tommy's been riding for, and every lap that he's led, money has been adding up.
With our Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Series wrapped up for 2018, we know Kazaz is confirmed as our champion. Card hangs on for second, and that's good. He deserves a decent result after not winning both races at Motorsport. Tremblay in his first season on this class in third. From Rafa, Desmarais, McKay, Alex Coelho, always a consistent performer on his Kawasaki, and Shaw O'Leary, who missed most of the season due to a concussion.
Well, that wraps up the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike National Championship for 2018. Tommy Kazas taking the championship once more. That's 2 in a row for Kazas. Our next broadcast will be of the premier class, our Mopar Pro Superbike class. We'll see you then. Today's race is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Honda, Magneti Morelli, offered by Mopar, Drift, and Dunlop.